Welcome to the part two of graph of a linear equation. So in this video, we're going to be focusing on how do we get the values and the variables for x and y. How do we get those numbers? And there are two ways to get those, and I'm going to be explaining the two ways. You decide the one you prefer. Okay, so before I proceed to the table, let me talk about characteristics of a good table. Yes, any kind of table, and especially in science. So, for this level, the first two characteristics you're saying is what we'll be considering, and the other two have things like physics, chemistry. Okay, uh, so in other words, the 4 points are necessary for every science student. Oh, let me see. Any other subject that has to do with plotting of graph? Yes, I think economics has to do with there is that places where we plot graph. Okay, let's dive into it. It must be closed. The table must be closed. I'm going to explain later. Two, it must be neatly drawn. Exactly, and those values needs to be really specific. It must be neatly drawn. Sorry. And then the third one is the place value must be the same. What I'm trying to say, for values that will be in decimal points, it must be the same. If you decide to take uh, three decimal points for a column, everything on that column must be in three decimal points. For instance, let's say your first value here, let's say, is 2.894, and in your calculator the next value is let's say 3.7845. You are not expected to write 3.7845. You're expected to round this up to three decimal places. So it now becomes 3.785. Let's say the next value is, let's say it's a constant 4. What you'll be writing here, you won't be writing 4. You have to write 4.000. Yeah, so I just wanted to explain this, so in case a student in other than grade 9 is watching this, your place value must be the same, and then the unit must be shown when necessary, especially physics and chemistry. So if everything here is length, you need to show that this is length, and you need to put the unit centimeter, so that when the examiner sees this, he knows that okay, this is 2.894 centimeter. Yes, so you need to specify the quantity and the unit. Right, so let's focus on what we've been discussing earlier on. So let's say the value for x, because I said earlier on that the value for x will be given to us in the question. Let's say the value for x ranges from -3 to +3. Now, for students higher than grade 9, sometimes you'll be told that the value ranges from -3 to +3. Mind you, I'm just using this. It can be -2 to +5, or whatever range, maybe 0 to 5 or 1 to 5. For students like that, most times you're not going to see this statement: x ranges from -3 to positive 3. They always put it in inequality from. So what am I trying to say is, let's pick the numbers from negative 3 to positive 3, and they're whole numbers. So negative 3, negative 2, negative 1, 0, 1, 2, 3. Okay, so let's get to the inequality of this, and it's very, very simple. Yeah, so the value from this, from my right to my left, there are values that are less than or equal to 3. If I ask you what are the values less than or equal to 3, you begin to tell me the values less than or equal to 3 equal 3, 2, 1, 0, negative 1, negative 2, negative 3, negative 4, negative 5 to infinity. So now to get the boundary for this, talking about the inequality from the left hand side, it is x is greater than or equal to negative 3. If I ask you what are the values greater than or equal to negative 3, you tell me negative 3, negative 2, negative 1, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now to keep a boundary to that, so we're going to be having this. Now to put them together is, if x is greater than or equal to minus 3, it means that minus 3 is less than or equal to x. We're saying the same thing. If I say 2 is greater than 5, sorry, what am I saying? If I say 5 is greater than 2, it means that 5 is greater than 2, it means that 2 is less than 5. Yeah, so that's what I'm trying to say. If x is greater than or equal to minus 3, it means minus 3 is less than or equal to x. So to fuse them together, it will now be, the range is minus 3 less than or equal to x less than or equal to 3. So this is another way of saying the value of x ranges from negative 3 to positive 3. Now I said we're going to be using that equation, y equal to x minus 3. Now the first method is solving the value for x individually, putting the value for minus 3, substitute it for x and get the value for y, negative 2, negative 1, 0, 1, 2, 3. So I'm going to do, let's say, I'm going to show you for the sake, so the video will not be too lengthy. I'm just going to show you for, like, let's say 2 values or 3 values, because I've explained it in the first and the part 1 of this video. So for x equal, let me see, have I done that for okay, let me do that for x equal minus 3. For x equal minus 3, or if x equal minus 3, so it now becomes y equal 2 multiplied by, let me use red pen for this, minus 3 minus 3. So it means y equal 2 times negative 3 is negative 6, negative 3 is equal to y equal negative 9. So the coordinate for this is minus 3 comma minus 9. Let me do for that, if x equal 1, so it's now become y equal 2 times 1 minus 3. So y equal 2 times 1 is 2 minus 3 means y equal minus 1. So the coordinate is, for x is 1, for y is minus 1. All right, so I'm going to show you the remaining values for the remaining corresponding values for y for every x value. So you can try that, pause the video, try it, and compare your answer. I trust you that these are the values you have. So for -3, we have -9, -2, we have -7, -1, we have -5, and these are the remaining values. For x equal 3, the value for y is 3. For x equal 2, the value for y is 1, and so on and so forth. So this is how we're going to get the first table. This is the first method. So I'm going to put it in a tabular form now. Right, so to put it in tabular form, this value for x, this is the value for y. Sorry about that. Okay. So the value for x ranges from -3, -2, -1, 0, 1, 2, 3. So the corresponding value for y is -9, -7, -5, -3, -1, 1, and 3. So this is the first method of getting the table to plot the graph. Now to the second method. Now the second method goes like this. Y equal 2x minus 3. This is the equation. So what you're expected to do is to draw a table with various rows. But how do we know the number of rows? First of all, we need to consider that the value for x will be given. That's one. If you look at the equation, you figure out where x is. This is where x is. And what is there is 2x. It means 2 is multiplied by x. So you are going to get a row for 2x. In the same table, we're having a constant, which is -3. We're going to get another row for -3. That is the third row. And then we're going to have a final answer, which is y. So we need 4 rows, and then the number of columns will be the range of the value for x, which we already know that is from -3 to +3. So we're going to be needing like 7 rows. So let me draw that table. Right, so we have our table here. So then let's discuss. The value for x ranges from -3, -2, -1, 0, 1, 2, 3. So I said the next thing that will happen in our row is you look for where x is. Sometimes the question can just be y equal x minus 3. Then we don't need to multiply it by the coefficient 1 there, because 1 multiplied by the same number will give us that same number. But in this case, we're having 2x. So the next row will be for 2x. So what it means is this next value will not be 2 minus 3 or minus 23. No, it will be 2 times -3 is what? -6. 2x from -2, it will be by -2 times 2, which will give us -4. -2, 0, 2, 4, and 6. For every corresponding value for x here is what we're having here. So if here was 5, it will now be 5 times 2, which will be 10. I hope you understand. So for this column, we have -3. -3 times 2 is -6. And same thing for this. 0 times 2 is 0. 1 times 2, 2. 2 times 2, 4. 3 times 2, 6. Yeah, I'll solve another question so that you're going to understand very well. So the next, we are done with this. The next is negative 3. I'll put negative 3 there. Now negative 3 is a constant, and because it's a constant, it's going to go through everything. So we're not multiplying it by anything. Since it's a constant, we just keep repeating it. Negative 3, negative 3, negative 3, negative 3, negative 3, negative 3, negative 3. So the last person is y. Now how do now get y? Pay attention. You see this column and this column. What we'll be doing is we'll be adding them together. Add everything together. Mark my word, I said add, don't subtract. Add everything together. We're going to get the value for y. Add everything together. Okay. Negative 6 plus negative 3. This is what I'm talking about. Negative 6 plus negative 3. Positive, negative is negative. So that's negative 6, negative 3. Alright, so that is minus 6 minus 3 gives us minus 9. Whatever sign you see there, just operate with it. So this negative 4, negative 3. That is negative 7. Minus 2 minus 3 is minus 5. 0 minus 3 minus 3. I know somebody will be like, he's still keeping saying minus. Why is it? And he's saying we should add it. Remember, positive together with negative sign is actually negative. So positive actually does not change the sign. So we need to take note of that. 2 minus 3 is negative 1. 4 minus 3 is 1. 6 minus 3 is 3. So this is the second method of getting a table that will be used to plot a graph. I believe you understand. If you have any question, you can leave it at the comment side below. Thank you very much, and then please subscribe, like, and turn off the notification bell so that anytime I post important content like this, you'll be the first to know. So stay tuned for how to plot a graph. Thank you.